Hey guys, my name is Aman. I'm a legal intern at Lexis and Company, and I'm pursuing 3 years law from Faculty of Law, Delhi University. And the purpose of this video will be I'm going to talk about the administrative tribunals. So, how are they given under the Indian law? What are the types? Like, for example, there is central, then state, then joint administrative tribunal. What are the characteristics and necessity, exception, and so on. So, administrative tribunal, as you also, it is the name given to the administrative exercise of the judicial function. It is a term synonymously used with the administrative function and decision making. It is a name given to various ways of deciding the dispute outside the ordinary court. It is constitutional, though it is negation of the principle of separation of power. It is the participation of the involvement of the executive or the government in the judicial function. Though the instrumentality of the administrative education and administrative agencies can pass the authoritative and appealable decision. So the adjudicatory functions is expired in variety of ways. However, the most popular mode of education is through tribunals only. So, how were tribunals decided under the Indian law? So, the by day 42nd November 1976, a new part. Uh, 14A was included in the constitution, and this part is to be entitled as tribunals and consists of two articles, 323A and 323B. So, Article 323 empowers for the establishment of the administrative tribunal, and following the articles of the Indian Constitution, the Parliament has passed the Administrative Tribunal Act of 1985. This act empowered the central government to establish one central administrative tribunal, that is CAT, and the state, and then the state administrative tribunal. So Article 3B deals with the tribunals of the other matters. So what are the types? So first is obviously the central, that is the CAT. It is a jurisdiction to deal with the service matters about the employees of central government or a union territory or local government or other central government cooperative, owned or controlled by the central government. Then there is SAT. These tribunals can be established by the central government and the parliament. Similarly, we see the state legislature under the Article 323B for various matters like levy, assessment, collection, and enforcement of taxes connected with the land reforms under the Article 31A. Then there is Joint Administrative Tribunal, that is JAT. This can be established on the request of two or more states collectively, which exercise administrative control over two or more states. For example, there are various administrative tribunal. For example, there is Armed Forces Tribunal, then there is a Central Administrative Tribunal, that is CAT, then NGT, and then there is a Water Dispute Tribunal, many on. So, what are the characteristics of these administrative tribunals? So, they are of statutory origin and are so must be created by the statute or by the parliament or state legislation. They are quasi-judicial in nature. This means they have features of a court, but not all the features of the court, and they are not a proper court. So, administrative tribunal is bound to act judicially and follow the principles of natural justice. We see various procedural matters. Example, administrative tribunals have the power relating to summoning of the witness, even administrating of the oath to complete protection of the documents. It is bound to follow the strict use of evidence law and the procedure steps as the CPC. They are independent and not subject to any administrative interference and discharge of the judicial function and quasi-judicial function. The writ of certiorari provision available against the decision of administrative tribunal. It has some of the topping of the code, and it is required to act openly, fairly, and impartially according to the principles of natural justice always. So, what are the necessary reason for the growth of administrative tribunals in the recent era? So, the main purpose of this introduction of this act was to relieve the congestion of the court, to lower the burden on the court, to guide a speedy disposal of the dispute, which is one of the two pillars of the principle of natural justice. First is the fair trial, then there is speedy. So the speedy part is covered here. So, and to relieve congestion in the court, to lower the burden of the cases in the court, to provide speedy disposal of the dispute relating to the service matter. Then the necessity, so tribunals are less expensive as compared to a proper court, and procedures are not complex and formalities as in a court. So tribunals are cheaper and accessible to the affected person. For example, sales tax tribunal, land appellate tribunals, and labor tribunals, they are very cheaper and accessible to a common person. So tribunal decide all the questions subjectively on the department's policy basis, and courts decide objectively. So they have experts in their panel who can dispose of the technical problems effectively, or they possess technical knowledge in a particular field, like labor, water, excise, wages. These also tribunals act rapidly with the discretion powers, basing their decision on the department's policy and other facts, where the ordinary court can follow the procedure and evidence and take much time, and that is a cumbersome process. What is the application? So section 2 of the Administrative Tribunal Act of 1985 applies to all central government employees. So there are some of the exception. Always there are army, military, or the official servant of the Supreme Court or High Court, or any person appointed to the secretary, staff, or either house of the parliament. Then what is the composition? There will be a chairman. Then there will be a vice chairman under it. Then there will be judicial minister, technical expert, and administrative member who will help in the governance of the system. So Section 8 talks about the terms of the office. The person can work for a period of 5 years. However, we see the chairman would retire at the age of 65 years, like Supreme Court judge. Similarly, other members would retire at the age of 62 years, like a High Court judge. So this is a thing that you can use to remember it. Then, what are the advantages? As I already know, they are flexible, they are cheap and speedy. The procedure filed is simple and less cumbersome. They lessen the burden on the court. They have expertise in their panels. They have sufficient administrative act and fair justice to all. So they have some limitation also. Also, they consist of members and head other need not possessed very sound background in the field or in the field of law, and they or do not rely on the uniform precedence and may lead to be arbitrary and inconsistent decision, and thus violate the principle of natural justice or fair trial. So there are also many challenges faced in the administrative tribunal. The are not autonomous per se, as they are dependent on the executive of the aspect of funding and appointment also. So they lack the adequate infrastructure in the court, lacking the infrastructure. Then obviously the administrative tribunal will also lack it. So the staff requirements of the are also still unknown, and usually they are vacant. So also there was a famous landmark of Chandra Kumar case also, that held that the appeal of the tribunal come under the jurisdiction of the court. This defeats the whole purpose, reducing the burden again on the judiciary. So we can rectify. This is a very good concept, but it needs to have some amendments, and it will be a fantastic concept, which will have over by which its merit will overweight its demerit. So thank you. That's all I want to say. I want to conclude my video by saying that please remember the video does not guidelines any Bar Council of India. It does not solicit or promote any of its guidelines, and the sole purpose of the video is educational. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to see more of this content in future. Thank you.